That's Montana things.
Yeah. Hey, looks like a spot 2 weeks.
Everybody's really filming it. That's one of those that should have to be public here. Big man, because they didn't have a place to talk. I was like, oh. He won't let me take it.
Always do this morning. If you're gone.
You're like gone.
Great, so far. Maybe stay there. If you want to take a chat on it, I'll bet the other side. We should there for a little bit back now.
You're right up on the interstate. Dude.
Like they didn't call that busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just two. Yeah.
Wow.
No.
Good more village.
Village.
Good more village.
Down by the state. That area.
Salt truck, yeah, it was one truck.
Okay, call the meeting to order. Down to Sylva Board of Commissioners meeting, work session. First thing is to approve the agenda. I didn't find a motion to do that.
Make that motion.
Have a motion. Do you have any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand, say aye. Opposed by like sign, the motion carries. Do we have anybody here for public comment? Public comment. Reports, mayor's report. But all I have to say is yesterday, we had a teleconference with most of the mayors in Western North Carolina and a representative of the governor's office. And talked about the storm and what's coming up and how serious we need to take this. The only thing, I added 2 things to the conversation. One was that we probably need to have our police department take a scan of all the bridges, make sure we don't have any homeless trying to live under them during the flood. That was the case down mine. So, secondly, I brought up that, you know, our company, the DOT, other outfits do a, I don't think there's a word for it, but they help each other in time of need. And I brought up the idea that it might be a good idea for the towns to create an alliance. When one doesn't have damage and the other does, maybe try to help each other. There's a way for FEMA money to pay for that. So it's just something to consider as time goes on. That's all I have. Mary?
Hope everybody's safe over the next few days.
Mark?
I don't have anything to report.
Right? Just that, I've been told I wasn't able to attend the Pride festivities last weekend in Sylva went very well, safe. I was talking to a few people that were really proud of Sylva for town of Sylva for supporting those festivities, and I just wanted to say that I am too, and thank the people that helped organize them, which would include town staff. Thank you, everybody.
I heard similar comments myself. Please.
I've been attending the Pinnacle Park meeting at Jay Coward's office. And the board members are in the process of creating a logo for the sign, at Fisher Creek, and probably gonna put together some t-shirts. And they should have something together pretty soon on that. And then also a resident on Charles Street informed me about some potholes. Be patched. That's it.
I got some good feedback on the Civil Webster alumni. And it's well attended from what I heard. I was out of town. to See that happen, but I heard, from a couple different people that seemed like it was well attended and, no incident. Friend, a coworker was helping out at Marcus Place and said there was a good crowd there. Folks seemed to be enjoying themselves with that. I've noticed around town, seems like some good things have happened with some landscaping here and there, so hats off to Public Works for that, Jake and your team. Some spots that need some attention, look a lot better. Doggy waste bag, station's been refilled. And, so we appreciate it.
I attended all the Civil Webster stuff and it was a great turnout of people and everybody had a good time. So, moving on down the line, our manager's report.
Yes, residents and property owners have received their property tax bills and payments are beginning to come in. And as far as an employment update, Jacob Lewis worked his last shift at the fire department this week. He is moving back home near Wilmington to be closer to his family. And Blake Cave, that's been working part-time for the fire department covering shifts, is going to fill in or is going to become a full-time employee starting today. But that's all I have.
Public Works.
Morning, yeah, I'm gonna speak first about storm. That's the elephant in the room. Some of y'all haven't been on the board when we have a big storm like this, so we generally several days in advance start making preparations with ditches, culvert heads and storm drains and stuff like that. This time of year, it's additionally challenging because the leaves are coming down with the rain and they run with the water straight to the drains. So we have to be pretty vigilant, making sure those are all clear. Roof drains and gutters on all the buildings have to be monitored closely. We coordinate with the Sylva PD, the fire department, WASA, Duke, NCDOT, and Jackson County in an event like this. And it's kind of unwritten, but to touch on what Johnny said, there is quite a bit of cooperation between all those separate agencies. Scotts Creek is of particular concern, always, but especially this time because we already have had some damage. I'm sure y'all noticed coming in, all of our equipment's been moved up to higher ground. Seen the creek lapping at the parking lot with much less rain than what is expected in this event. So we're hoping everything turns out all right, but we're prepared for the worst also. As of 8 o'clock this morning, there was an emergency declaration by the governor. So that'll free up, make available federal funds if this thing does get real super bad and we need those. Monitoring bridge spans, it's two town-owned bridges here on Allen Street and Harold Street. And we'll also help the DOT keep an eye on their bridges here in town as well. At this time, we haven't lost any trees as a result of the weather. I expect that to change as the wind picks up as the storm moves further inland. Any questions about storm prep? Restroom update, Paige and I have a meeting today with the contractor, hopefully, to receive updates. Tile work is finished, concrete work was scheduled for yesterday, but it has been put off by a storm. I expect that to be completed as soon as possible after the storm subsides. Once that slab along the front's finished, you'll see that handrail that's been going up be completed. Fixture installation should go in, start next week. They're getting pretty close on that, mostly just finished work at this point. Bryson Park update. Playground installation is about 95% complete. They're still waiting on the one part for the big tower. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Pour-in-place rubber is installed, and it turned out really good. I'm very, very pleased with how that looks. Paige and I met with Bliss Products on Tuesday to select site furnishings as well as discussing some additional shade structures for the playground out there as well. We have a contract draft from Bartlett Operations and we're currently in the negotiating phase of that. I hope to have that executed early next week, if not by tomorrow sometime. Next phases of that project will be the renovations at the pavilion, rebuilding the basketball court, upgrading the fencing. Another updates, Rick's lot was restriped earlier this week and restriping downtown will be ongoing this fall as weather allows. We've added two ADA compliant parking spots adjacent to the Baptist Church on Landis Street. And fall leaf collection is underway and will likely continue into late January. Questions?
The Bryson Park fencing, is that gonna go all the way around the park?
It is, so it'll go where it currently only parallels chip or curve. So it'll be in the same spot, but it'll be higher and vinyl coated. It'll be a 10-foot fence. What's there is only 8 foot. It'll go up to Aspen Street and connect with the new chain link fencing that's on at the top of those walls. It'll come back down Allen Street, connect to the pavilion, and so the entire thing will be fenced. We'll probably have 2 slide gates at either end. Go ahead, Mark.
Jake, up there across from the park where the old Rod John Park was years ago, when they demoed that building there. I do know that that wall kind of went all the way down into the creek. Any concerns with this flood and maybe it stopping up, anything else breaking off right there, stopping up at that bridge?
Yeah, we're watching. And the DOT's aware too.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'm just kind of curious about that, because it wouldn't take much to peel it off right now.
Sure would.
I think everyone's aware that our contracted building the bathrooms is under liquidated damages as we go right now.
That's correct.
And one thing that I've always thought was totally unfair, and I think this board has the authority to make a slight change in that if we could, but, and it all depends on if Jake thought it was appropriate or not, but I don't agree with charging a contract for liquidated damages during a storm like this. So 2 or 3 days of that, it'd be my recommendation that we waive those liquidated damages for the storm days.
They're getting close enough now, Johnny. We'll have more information after our meeting today. I don't have a problem with that. Let's hear the schedule for what's upcoming. The schedule right now is hurry.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not opposed to that.
I have a question about those damages, the $200 a day, right? That's, will that amount just be taken off what they're
Yeah, so we're not
at the end?
invoicing them that per se, but that'll be deducted from the final contract payment.
It's still have the final payment.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, very reasonable.
I've always thought it was unfair that on DOT contracts, you could charge liquidated damages for designated holidays when you're not allowed to work.
Especially under a state of emergency.
Yeah. And to speak to Mark's point, the state of emergency pretty much waives the rules anyway. So we can do anything we want to there. Okay, we don't have a police report today. do we?
No, we do not.
Okay. Fire department?
Well, I'm gonna start off by saying their business has been good this year. I guess you're gonna talk good. We're up to 1,055 calls already this year, so it's probably gonna be even higher than we were last year. Time of year is over with, probably 15, 16. Yeah, from 1,450 last year. I don't know if that's what you say, good thing, but that is the truth. Second thing we'll talk about is the storm. We have an extra man working today and tomorrow, just in case, so we can answer 2 calls at once, because that's probably what's gonna happen when things start happening. And we will have 2 crews. Other than that, things been pretty good, and as Paige said, we have already replaced Jacob Blake. He was here anyway, so he just picked up where Jacob left, and he's there today. As a matter of fact, if I was to come by a meeting, he's our extra man today, so. And that's really all I have. If I got any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Main Street report.
Good morning. Last night we hosted our first community entrepreneurial pitch competition at Lazy Hiker Mad Batter with Western Carolina's College of Business and Engineering and Hatch, who runs an incubation space in Asheville. We had a total of 7 people pitch their business ideas, so it was a mixture of students and folks from the community. They got participant feedback, and they got kind of a report of how they can develop that business further. So it was something that we really thought was going to be good, and it was we'll have more of those going forward. So, we hosted a social district celebration on Saturday to replace the former brew pub, and it was lightly attended. So the promotions committee will be doing a debrief to determine what format, if any, it will take in the future. I had the honor of leading 3 successive economic development breakout sessions at Western for their Honors College Conference last Saturday. And the students were super engaged and had a lot of great questions about Sylva and Jackson County, so that accomplished some of our goals there. And we just started working with a Western intern this semester to help us gather feedback from the retail businesses and provide them with resources to help their businesses grow and thrive. And we also started working with the recreational therapy team at Western under Dr. Jennifer Hinton to conduct an ADA study downtown. And the Main Street Board recommended we do this in hopes of using it to acquire grant funding to fix a good portion of the downtown repair list. So we're super excited about that. And finally, the facade grant program, the remaining facade grants that will be hopefully approved on the next meeting here by this group, we will have allocated all of the funds for this cycle. So the board feels like it was a successful program, is working on acquiring another round of funding and adding some additional improvement options to the application.
Good deal.
You guys have any questions?
How would the downtown businesses get information on if there are additional options for improvements? Will you send that out in the?
Yes.
Okay.
We just kind of have to take a look and make sure it still fits with the facade grant program that Main Street kind of sanctions. But we think there are some things that we can add to that, because a lot of the business did say, businesses and property owners did say.
I think there's a congratulations in order that you fulfilled all of the sod grant.
I agree. Good job. What's the report?
Plus is also working to prepare for the storm, and just the town and Twas to have a really good relationship to help each other if necessary. That's it.
So that moves us on to new business. All these items are discussion only, voting or passing anything today. First item is the planning board term limits and appointments to the planning board. Previously, we had a discussion, and I thought we had already made this change, but according to Amanda, we didn't officially make it. So we officially changed the term limits from 3-year terms to 4 terms for the ABC board, and talked about doing the very same thing for the planning board. But apparently at our next board meeting, we'll need to act on that. And in order to be able to reappoint Russ Harris and some other folks that Page made, pick the name off that need to be reappointed as well.
Yes, so Russ is the only one that has served 3 full terms, but he would like to be reappointed. Other terms that have expired are Jeffrey Hirsch, he's completed his first term. Kendall Waldrop has completed her first term. And then Rose Bogus is our ETJ representative. So her term does not expire, but she's still in the 3-year cycle, but she can serve an unlimited number of terms, I should say. I've reached out to all of them. I've heard everybody I've heard back from wants to be reappointed. I've not heard back from Jeffrey yet, but I would imagine that he would also like to be reappointed. But I do think adding a 4th term and for Russ to continue to serve would be very helpful. He's got a lot of background knowledge about our zoning ordinance before we went through our ordinance and UDO update. So that would be very helpful.
Is the issue that they're currently limited to 3 terms?
Yes,
And that applies only to Russ at this point?
only at this point, yes.
Okay.
And if you remember, we talked about this before, rather than eliminating terms altogether, we decided to just extend it to 4 terms rather than 3. So we could still try to stay as open as we could to reappointing new people. Right now, when we're trying to redevelop and probably looking at some ordinance changes and things of that nature, probably gonna be best to have our most experienced people there. So that's a change that we'll make at our next board meeting officially, but that's just a discussion item. Anybody else have anything to say about that?
Well, just that we might, and try to encourage the people that serve on that board to, train, the word training comes to mind, but to try to avoid us being in this position in the future where we have to extend term limits again, it's
Somewhat
something what you gotta.
difficult to encourage that because they don't have regular meetings. They make them
Right.
something to do.
I know, and that's the tough thing about it.
So, until there's something to do, those other people can't gain any experience.
Yeah, I know. Just a thought to put out there that, you don't want people, I shouldn't say you, but generally, we don't want people serving on boards and, into perpetuity. Russ is awesome, and I get it in this case, but just something to, like a message to get out there to them that whatever we can maybe do to get some experience on the board.
I think the biggest message to get out is to encourage other people in the community to apply.
That's the biggest challenge, I agree.
If we don't have other applications,
Right.
we got people serving that want to continue, we're gonna have any choice but to keep it.
What efforts are being made to recruit and kind of put out there, maybe this opportunities?
So more advertisement in the newspaper.
Maybe we could do more in the future.
Board members can also reach out to people. Moving on, the Economic Development Board, is discussion only. There's applications for the appointments to that board. There's more to consider here than just who we appoint to these, but are we really gonna take this thing seriously? These people are gonna, part of their task will be to review ordinances and to offer changes. And as of late, we're not too keen on changing our ordinances. So I'm gonna be clear when I say that if we proceed with appointing these people, we need to be committed to listening to them and open to making some changes that would make business development better, faster, and easier. If not, we're just wasting their time.
I think there's a good opportunity here to listen to what other business owners have to say. Not taking anything away from the Downtown Business Association. They do great work. I commend them on that. But I do think this gives other businesses and other people in town that do pay taxes that do not gain anything other than paying taxes. It actually gives them an opportunity to work with the town board, and to work with the mayor, and to work with the city manager and everyone else. To try to help boost the economics in this area, because we're gonna need it. Losing $300,000 a year in tax revenue, we've got to take care of something. We've got to try to be open to as many opportunities as we can. And I think, my personal opinion, I think it would be a good board, and maybe they could sit down and work with the Downtown Association and get ideas from them and work together. I mean, all this is about working together, not one group and another.
Amanda, can you call off the names of the people that have submitted application?
I've got it right here. We've got Donald Green, Marnie Harris, Josh Carpenter, Tim Jones, and Don Hensley. And Marnie and Josh, both their applications are for sort of the ex officio seats.
Johnny Maney has his filled out and was gonna bring it to the reunion to me, and he forgot it, so he wants to serve.
Seems like some applicants with a lot of experience, I think would be very valuable. What I've seen on their applications, I know personally.
Well, I've encouraged a few folks to want to do this, and all of them are successful business people here that care about our town. So I guess we'll review those at our next meeting if if we're gonna proceed with it.
The goal is to have 7, is that right?
Goals to have 7, but 2 of those are ex officio members that are, one, Marnie is from Southwestern Community College, the Economic Development Director there. And Mr. Carpenter works for, Southwestern Commission as an economic development person there. So they would be there for conversation. They'd be there to add to conversations about what they're recommending to do or whatever, but they will not have voting power on that board.
2 of the applicants that we have so far would be ex officio.
Yes.
Meaning we only have 3 or 4 more so far.
3 right now, and we need
Yeah.
5. I've not heard back from Polk, Tennessee about it. Connie Maney's is on its way here. That would make 5. With the 3 we have. Is there any more discussion about that?
My only point of advice is, as we go into this process with this board, to look at it more as economic development and business opportunity rather than reviewing ordinances, because we don't want them to step on what is statutorily the planning board's job.
If we were to approach someone about serving on this, the qualification really is they gotta be a Jackson County resident, is that right?
And own a business or a piece of commercial property in the city limits. And we had lots of discussions about making an exception for one person that owns a bunch of commercial property here and businesses that actually lives in Asheville. That to open that can of worms because it could turn into something we don't want.
County resident, but not a Sylva resident
Correct.
specifically. Okay.
Really, the whole purpose, was we have several businesses here. There are people that's lived in this county their whole life. They've never lived in the city limits.
Yeah.
At one time, the only business owner that lived in the city limits was R.O. Vance. So, if we want their input and we want them to be a part of what's going on with the decisions, we're gonna have to allow this board to be people that live in the county but outside city limits.
So far, it's Donald, Marnie, Josh, Johnny's on the way, and who were the other 2? Were there 2 more?
Jones and Don Hensley. And Don Green.
Yeah, no.
Tim Jones, Don Hensley, Don Green, Johnny Maney, and I've not had another conversation with Polk, Tennessee. Those are the people I carried an application to.
I saw Josh Carpenter's application.
Anybody else have anything to add about that? Last thing on the agenda is the historical sign at the new public restroom marking the center of town. Luther Jones gave us some wording, got handed out there. Hope it's on this packet or not.
It is.
Last page.
Last page.
So, I can all read that. It can be altered or changed in any way. This is basically informative. What we talked about was a little brass plaque that's down there next to that pin that shows the town of Sylva in an octagon is the way it was originally intended. And that point is the actual center of town, right beside the original railroad station. Just a point of conversation, something to bring to visitors' attention, and most locals don't know that. It's something that's sort of a subject about like, in my mind, I find it just surprises people every time I say this, but the way 107 got its name is because it starts at the fountain and there's 107 steps to the courthouse. But there's no sign that tells anybody that, you know. So anyway, I think this would be a cool little sign to make. I don't think it'd cost a whole lot of money. Getting everybody to agree on exactly what it says and have the octagon shown on it and that sort of thing. Be something to discuss in the future, but I wouldn't mind seeing that done. Myself, I think it's a good idea. It's an idea Luther Jones brought up.
I like the then and now pictures all throughout Sylva that I believe David Schulman spearheaded, and I imagine he'd probably be interested in doing that for this location too.
Okay, I think David might want to help design that.
I've got a great one of one of the depot, I think the second version of the depot that the chamber brought us. And then I know that book Lynn Hotelling did has one of the first, like the very first depot. So I think that would be great to have. So the location of the center marker was actually moved at some point, and the southeast corner of the depot was what was the center marker. But then I guess when the depot was torn down, the marker got moved closer to the street. So I feel like the sign needs to go, instead of being where the marker is, which was changed, should go where the depot is, designating that, and then maybe with showing the picture of the octagon. So I like Luther's wording. I thought that was very good.
Would you think would it be appropriate to just put the sign on the corner of the building?
Probably a post. But we can work on that.
Yeah.
Let's just have all the input from the board and then we'll work on signing it.
Yeah. So this is just discussion only. I'll add one comment. Congratulations to the previous board that was here before me in building our bathrooms and making it look like the old train depot. I think it's a grand idea. I think it's a great help for our town. I love it. Is there anything else anybody'd like to talk about before we adjourn?
We're gonna vote on the colors.
Not on the agenda. The color of the depot, it's already been decided.
Yeah, we've already voted on that.
We did.
That was previous.
Battleship gray. We did have a discussion about the color of the signs that are on it. And I think, after I brought up that like red looked good or something like that, then, Odell brought up the concept for the doors and the shin trim and all the other things that was in his consideration when he made them green. And I was fine with just leaving it with the way he had it. So I didn't hear anybody that was adamant about making a change on it. So I'm assuming we're continuing with what Odell proposed.
Yes.
I do remember.
Yeah. So if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Take that motion.
Have a motion, do we have any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand, and say aye. Then adjourn.
Turn this off.
We don't have one player. That's a good idea.
That, long, all that. You gotta get plumbing right, but,
Only we knew.